And welcome back. We have Josh Bernstein here. And we have some things to unpack here about the latest events that are going on. And I think you're going to do a great job of this, Josh. Let's get rolling with unpacking the current issues that happen with these mass shootings.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot to unpack. First and foremost, I would say, before anything else, my thoughts and prayers go out to all the victims, their families. I hope these communities can heal after this. It's very tragic. It's very sad. Now, the aftermath is obviously going to be what the next steps are going to be. And my thoughts are that because everybody is out of town right now and on recess, when they come back, they are going to jump headfirst into some type of legislation to try to pass gun control. And that is not the way to go here.
No.
Gun control is not the answer. What the answer is to remove all of the 22,000 plus laws that are on the books for gun control, number one. And then number two is to permanently ban all gun-free zones. Every single one of these shootings happens in a gun-free zone.
Including Walmart.
Gun-free zone. Right, of course. And the bar, the restaurant, gun-free zone. So when you have a gun-free zone and you don't allow the general public to carry a concealed firearm, you're going to invite more and more of these sickos and these crazy people to come in, not meet an armed resistance, and be able to do what they've been able to do.
Right.
And they're cowards and they're wimps, and so they will feed on people like prey, and that's what they've been doing. So the wrong thing to do here is to try to pass any type of legislation against AK-47s or assault rifles or how many bullets we can buy or how many magazines we can have. That is not the right way to go. And I'll say this, too. What happened to President Trump? I mean, I understand he may have been emotional from what happened, but it was almost as if there was like a doppelganger out there today. If you watched his speech, I mean, he was talking almost like he was controlled or reprogrammed. It was very, very frightening. He started talking about these red flag laws and coming after social media. I mean, that's not the problem here. The problem is mental health. Worse. We need to reopen up the mental institutions in this country and start putting these people away.
Well, let me add a comment here. Back in practice, starting back in the 1970s, if I had somebody who was mentally ill in Nova Scotia or British Columbia before I came to the States, I'd slap their butt into a mental institution. They weren't coming back out unless they were certified they were safe. They shouldn't get anywhere near not only a gun, but a hammer or a long knife or a machete. And the problem is, it's not guns that kills people, it's crazy people. Now, what kind of crazy? I know there's an article up on Drudge that says only 1 in 4 mass shooters have been diagnosed with mental illness. Wrong. If we have a proper mental health system here, and everywhere, including a teacher or a babysitter, anybody can activate the system and start an investigation, it's really easy to identify. When you actually look at these mass shooters, they got a long, ugly history, every one of them, of being weird. Online, interacting with their teachers, their co-workers, etc. This is not something that's a dark mystery. Secondly, I was a doctor taking care of Air Force Academy, and back in the early '80s, when they were doing this in the mid '80s, they were deciding to bring in video kill games. Now, video kill games weren't out for the public yet. These were basically before it went to the public, and they were concerned they couldn't turn off what's called a kill reflex. In other words, we have vicious video games, and a lot of young people can't tell the difference between very vivid reality on video games and cyberspace and physical reality. So they go on social media, they get all angrified, they can't tell the difference between reality and their video game, and they go out and decide to do something. And because they're mentally ill, it could easily be picked up on social media by the NSA or FBI or your teacher or whatever. It should be an alert system. If someone comes under an alert, simply do an evaluation on them. 30 minutes. Nurse practitioner comes by your home, talks to you for 30 minutes, looks like she checks off a number of boxes. You get slapped in a posy jacket and hauled off to an institution for 2 days to make sure you're okay. If you're not okay, every gun in your home, every machete, every long knife, everything else in your home needs to be taken and need to be treated until you're well. And I'm not talking about drugs. I'm talking about treated to make sure that we're monitoring you and keep an eye on you. This idea that somehow, and we have a larger and larger amount of mentally ill people, drinking aspartame, watching video games, eating mineral-depleted soil foods, all kinds of bad reasons, and then increased stress in our society, including cell phones, when these people got their cell phone cooking their brain at the side of their head. We wonder why we have violence. These guys at the Air Force Academy were concerned about turning off the kill reflex with normal military personnel that were trained to kill in an airplane by shooting at an enemy. So what we have right now is mental illness is not being treated properly and severely in this country, and we should be removing all these kill video games from our public media. They should be gone. The idea we have kill games out there and video games and even a lot of these movies nowadays. These are dark movies on television and dark series that are really, really, that when people all they do watch all these things now, they're losing it. They're not normal anymore, are they?
No, I think a lot of people are being desensitized to violence, especially
they're being reprogrammed to become a beast.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably date myself by talking about this one game in particular, but a game, for instance, like Grand Theft Auto, where the entire purpose of the game is to be a criminal, number one. It is to sell drugs, number two. It is to carjack innocent people and throw them out of their cars, number three. And number four, it is to have shootouts with strangers and the police. Okay,
wow.
That's basically the entire, objective, if you will, of a sick, twisted game like that. Now,
why do we allow this in our society?
Granted, they do have labels on them for, mature or PG-13 or what have you. So they are trying to label them. But to say that kids don't get a chance to play these violent video games, yeah, okay. And that's to say they also don't watch scary movies when their parents go out of town or go out for the night either. Okay? So the bottom line is they are being, subjected to this type of stuff. And what's happening is it's eroding and corroding their sense of reality. Because what it's doing is it's desensitizing them to this type of violence, and it's blurring those lines between what is fantasy on the screen and what is reality in real life.
Exactly.
And
I personally,
is a major issue.
I would think, number one, as you said earlier, open the mental institutions, have a lower threshold for activating people, get rid of all the gun-free zones, and not only have lethal, but advance the research and availability to the public of non-lethal weapons. If you're in there and you don't want to kill somebody, if you have a non-lethal weapon, you can just aim in this general direction, just knock them to the ground, and he can have a seizure. Great. Let's do it. Let's have it set up so that, for example, if they had cameras, say, in the Walmart, they could see it, they could have a knockdown weapon. They could just knock the guy to the ground, and all of a sudden somebody could zip tie him and haul him off into a posy car jacket, or with zip ties in his hands behind his back to a psychiatric institution. We need to understand the same thing goes on in churches. People need to realize now any public place, whether it's a stadium or a Walmart or whatever, a church, is a killing field because there are no gun zones.
Correct.
And whether we have some autonomous system, and I think what I would like is something like a non-lethal system. You could even have a little micro drone that would fly out and just spray the guy and knock him to the ground. So what if he's knocked out? Maybe he's going to get a couple of broken teeth from falling down because he has a weapon in his hands. It's a lot better than either, number one, killing a mentally ill person, but number two, letting the guy go loose and kill a whole bunch of people. And there's simple solutions to this. We need to get rid of all these kill video games and these horrifying movies. American culture is deteriorating. If you look at the series on TV, on primetime Amazon or whatever, a lot of these are extremely negative. So no wonder the young people are hopeless. I mean, darn it. And then now they can't get jobs. They get all these illegals here. They're not getting paid enough to have a living wage, so they got to stay at home with mama until they're mid-30s. What do they wonder what's going to happen, okay? And we're seeing more and more people with toxic effects because of feminizing males. We're seeing more and more violence because people's blood-brain barriers broken down with high amounts of aspartame, Splenda, Advantame, toxic vaccines, which they've had when they're a kid. And as soon as you give these vaccines, these kids immediately allow them to turn into ADD and Asperger's syndrome. What do they expect? You know, we're destroying the biology of the human race. We're destroying the mental health with violent video games and violent movies and miniseries. And then we wonder why, when the church is becoming more and more irrelevant, why these young people wander off after doing a video game and go on a killing spree because they saw something on social media. And nobody warns them to have somebody come by and just pick their carcass up and bring them to a place to talk to them for half an hour and say, look, if you check out so many boxes, this person's going off to be evaluated by a psychiatrist and see if they're mentally ill. If they are, they shouldn't get anything sharper than a fork or a spoon. How's that?
Yeah, and, to that, I want to talk about the two shooters in depth here because I have a lot of information. First and foremost, all of the media and the 2020 Democrats are immediately blaming President Trump for any of these shootings, okay? First of all, even the one with the manifesto says at the end, predated President Trump and his election and his campaign, and he said in his manifesto, the media will blame President Trump for what I'm going to do. That's number one. And we'll get back to him in a minute. But let's talk about this dirtbag, this Dayton shooter, Connor Betts, who not only killed all those people, but also killed his own sister. This was a Satan-worshiping, self-described leftist, okay? And
Whoa.
He was a registered Democrat. He voted Democrat in the last 7 elections, including the last 2 primaries. There are pictures of him with Satan patches on his body, on his jacket. He also put on, I think, Twitter or Instagram a picture of a receipt that he got at a store. He bought something, and the price came out to $6.66. And he joked and said, well, I guess I'm Satan. He's also an Elizabeth Warren supporter, or Liar Watha, as I like to call her. But is Elizabeth Warren, now are we supposed to blame Elizabeth Warren for this guy shooting these people? Of course not. But the left doesn't hold the right to the same standards, because if you remember, if something happens and they mention something about Trump, and the next thing you know, it's, oh, how come, it's Trump's fault then, let's blame it on him. But we don't do that to the left. And then there's a lot more here. Not only that, he's part of Antifa. He's a supporter of Antifa, I should say. He has praised the Antifa attack at the detention center in Washington State, okay? His parents are hardcore leftist Trump haters, Moira and Stephen Betts. As a matter of fact, Moira has had anti-Trump stuff all over her Facebook page and social media. She even put out something that said, end the alt-right, or let's get rid of the alt-right. And then her father, the kid's father, Stephen, also had images and videos critical of President Trump. There's reports that this kid was kicked out of his high school for violent behavior, which we now found out is true. He was expelled for having a, quote, hit list in which he separated the youngsters that were male that he wanted to, quote, kill, and then the youngsters that were female that he wanted to, quote, rape, and also, by the way, skin their bodies and take their skin off their bodies, this sicko. So then I guess what happened is they let him back in school because he wrote an apology letter. I guess that's all it takes for Bellbrook to allow a psychotic future psycho killer back into their school. And then, even more, he was a bully in school. He was not bullied. He was the bully. He was extremely aggressive on many occasions with his classmates. He fantasized about tying his female classmates and, quote, slitting their throats. This guy's just a sicko. The principal, Chris Baker at Bellbrook High School, reported by Dayton 24/7 News, said that he wanted to rape, kill, and skin people. Why is this guy walking now? I'm talking about this 30, 40 years ago when I'm in practice. If I even got one of these factoids, right,
that young man, even just with a first relative, let's say their brother or their mother had said to me, I would have called the police and the ambulance, and the guy would have been picked up immediately and brought to a psych institution where he could be properly handled and evaluated.
Yep.
What's going on in this country? What's going on in this country is insane. They closed a lot of the mental institutions, and a lot of people are homeless now in Los Angeles, where they got the Black Death and typhus coming back, and the Democrats are presiding over this, aren't they? And then they want to take our body armor and our guns away. How crazy is that? How crazy?
Do you Have difficulty taking supplements? Are you searching for a high-quality, complete nutritional drink that your whole family will love? NutriMedical's Life Support has arrived. All of your daily nutritional requirements in one quick, delicious drink. Dr. Bill Deagle's Life Support is a proprietary blend of vegan protein, activated vitamins, essential minerals, amino acids, probiotics, green tea, digestive enzymes, anti-inflammatories, cancer prevention, detoxification, and much more. Your body will high-five you for this one. Life Support is the best complete nutritious meal replacement on the market. Whether you are an elite athlete, have post-operative challenges, chronic illness, elderly, or a family that just wants a quick, delicious drink, try Dr. Bill Deagle's Life Support for optimized nutrition in one great tasting smoothie. Just add cold water, almond milk, fruit, or anything else you like. NutriMedical's Life Support. Try our great tasting chocolate or vanilla today. Call 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com. NutriMedical.com for the whole family.
Legacy Emergency Foods is the top recommendation from Dr. Bill Deagle for the lowest oxygen concentration, the largest entrees, the highest amount of protein, the most varied entrees as well, and the longest food storage life. Nothing like Legacy Emergency Foods, and if you place a regular monthly order, you get 20% off and free shipping. Do get emergency foods for your supply for preparation and get it from Legacy Foods. Contact Dr. Bill Deagle for the link at NutriMedical.com. Go to the Shop by Products link and drop down message at NutriMedical.com and then place your orders for regular emergency food for yourself and your family. Nothing like emergency food if the power goes out and you can't go to grocery stores or if there's an emergency or a national crisis. So NutriMedical.com, top recommendation, Legacy Foods. NutriMedical.com, go to the Shop by Products and drop down menu and stay well with NutriMedical every day of your life. Lumen Photon therapy, infrared light, far and near infrared, is extremely important for pain control, stimulation of nitric oxide, improved perfusion, and stem cell activation and reduction of cytokines. Dr. Bill uses it for pain control, for regeneration techniques, for organ regeneration, and for stimulation of your stem cell activity. This amazing Lumen Photon therapy this year will probably have an additional device with frequency therapy during the on phase of the lights. To obtain a Lumen Photon machine, contact Dr. Bill at NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871. He'll prescribe it with you providing nutraceuticals to help with your regeneration, healing, and pain control. Nothing like the Lumen Photon therapy for easy therapy for your eyes, your pain, your joints, regeneration of organs, detoxification of the body. Get a Lumen Photon machine from Dr. Bill Deagle, NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871. Stay well with NutriMedical. The Sonic Life Machine is one of the most amazing therapies that Dr. Bill provides. It is the best sine wave exercise machine on the planet, doing whole body vibration, opening up the muscle to reduce insulin resistance, improve perfusion, release stem cell therapies throughout the body, and epigenetically stimulate the body to release DNA activated. The epigenetic therapy with the sine wave curve of frequencies given for atomic resonance by Linus Pauling for minerals and amino acids stimulates the production of messenger RNA to correct structural protein enzyme deficiency for almost every illness. There's nothing like the sine wave therapy for improving body healing for exercise, but also the epigenetic treatments Dr. Bill can provide can help neutralize frequencies for disease states and illness. Get a Sonic Life machine through Dr. Bill Deagle at NutriMedical.com. Contact us at NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871, or go to the website NutriMedical and give us a contact. Dr. Bill is available to help you get well with NutriMedical.
Need a powerful ally to fight daily bugs and serious pathogens? Allicin Med is the powerful universal pathogen killer's latest advance of German-sourced allicin, enzymatically stabilized to clear the body of bacteria, fungi, mycobacteria, and parasites. It penetrates body biofilms and is non-toxic to tissues. Pathogen resistance cannot develop for long-term body-optimized wellness. Clear stealth pathogens that promote autoimmune disease, cancer and vascular inflammation and plaque and promote healing of tissues. Now pathogen-free. With 200 milligrams more power than prior Alamed, you can't get a more powerful ally to fight daily bugs and serious pathogens. Give your body what it needs. Allicin Med. Order Dr. Bill Deagle's Nutridyne at 888-212-8871 or NutriMedical.com. That's 1-888-212-8871 or NutriMedical.com. And listen to the NutriMedical Report on the Genesis Radio Network with open lines every weekday. NutriMedical.com, bringing nutrition and medicine together.
And welcome back, Josh. The solutions to these things are pretty straightforward and simple, but it seems that both sides, both Trump and the left, the Democrats, don't seem to move forward toward the solution, do they? It's bizarre, isn't it?
It is, and I wanted to go through now this Patrick Crusius, the El Paso shooter.
Right.
He may have been a registered Democrat. He may have been a Republican. Right now there's conflicting reports. Page was created after the event happened, and there's been a lot of changes back and forth. Both sides are saying that he was a Democrat. The other side saying he's a Republican, back and forth. So I don't know, but what I will tell you is more of his leanings seemed conservative, although he definitely had some liberal leanings as well. He attacked Democrats and Republicans the same. He criticized them both for their policy on illegal immigration. His manifesto, which I read completely, was titled, quote, An Inconvenient Truth. I don't know if that was an ode to Al Gore and his fake,
right,
global warming theory or not, but it could have been, because later on, as I explain in here, he definitely was one of these wacko environmentalists as well. So he said in it that his reason for his acts were due to ethnic replacement by the Hispanic invasion of his beloved Texas. This is what he said. He then says, my motives for this attack are not personal. Well, I don't know how much more personal you can get killing your fellow countrymen, but whatever. Then he says, actually, the Hispanic community was not my target before I read The Great Replacement. Now, The Great Replacement is a book by French author Renaud Camus, if I'm pronouncing that right, which deals with the reality, let's face it, it is a reality, of foreigners flooding into Europe and replacing the native-born population. He then goes on to state, America is rotting from the inside out, and peaceful means to stop this seems impossible. He talks about how illegal immigration will create a permanent one-party rule, and the Democrats know it. That is absolutely true. He then adds open borders, illegal aliens getting health care and other benefits will give Democrats more voters. He's absolutely correct there. He also correctly points out that illegal aliens, if this is allowed to continue, will continue to take jobs away from legal American citizens. Then he goes off the deep end, as if killing 20 people wasn't off the deep end already. And he talks about climate change. He also bought the lie that it's man-made, which of course we know it's not. And he says, and he alludes to the fact that Americans are stubborn and will not change their lifestyle or behavior in order to protect the environment. He then says, well, if you won't change, then I will lower the population, obviously another warped reason for doing what he did. He then says America can only be destroyed from the inside out. If our country falls and fails, it will be the fault of traitors. This is why I see my actions today as faultless. This is not an act of imperialism. This is an act of preservation. He then ends the manifesto by saying that he has no doubt the media will blame his actions on President Trump. Boy, was he right there. He then says, this is not President Trump's fault, and his opinions predate President Trump's campaign and election. And then I have more information on him himself. He's been described as a loner and not very motivated. In fact, his LinkedIn profile states, quote, I'm not really motivated to do much of anything more than what's necessary to get by, end quote. He was also very short-tempered, according to the people that knew him as a child. He was very irritable, and he did not interact with many other students. He spent most of his time, he said, as much as 8 hours a day, exactly as you said, on the Internet. He was also bullied. He was not a bully. He was actually bullied because he wore hand-me-down clothes and was unpopular. In 2014, he briefly ran away from home, but returned back about 30 minutes later. Most kids do that, right? They run away from home, and then they go and they get a soda down the street, and then they come right back. Sounds like he did the same thing. He didn't have any criminal record or anything else. So that's the info that I have on both of these shooters. Now, I don't condone violence of any kind, and what they both did was reprehensible. But that's more of the truth, and that's more of the details that the rest of the media is not going to give you. And one other thing before you put in, your 2 cents. Have you noticed that, number one, they both were wearing ear protection? I don't remember the last mass shooter ear protection on it. I can't remember any. I mean, I'm sure there was, but it's very odd that they both had ear protection. I just thought that was just a weird coincidence. Maybe it's not a coincidence. I don't know, but it just seemed very strange that they both had ear protection.
I think that the situation here is we're dealing with mentally ill people, and we're grading a larger crop of younger mentally ill people. The IQ has dropped in our population. Their brains are unhealthy. I can prove it with special imaging studies and organic testing, for example, neurotransmitter levels and platelets, quantitative electroencephalogram, imaging studies of their brains. The young person now that's a millennial is not as smart as we were 30 or 40 years ago. They're not. Their brains aren't as healthy. Their livers aren't as healthy. Their bodies aren't as healthy. When I went to medical school in 1976, we had a special conference where we had one individual in 4,600 that got ADD and attention deficit disorder. Now it's 1 in 68, and in some towns and districts in America, it's 1 in 28. Why? Mineral-depleted soil, toxic vaccines, Wi-Fi networks, smart meters, aspartame, Splenda, Advantame, MSG, etc., genetically modified food. We wonder why their biology is deteriorating. Then we expose them to reality-modifying movies and video games all day long, and these are loners. Often people are off in cyberspace for days or weeks playing video games, not even going outside and getting fresh air or doing something active. And we wonder why they lose it, okay? We're creating a crop. It's like if you have a crop of, oranges or lemons or food, we're creating a crop of mentally ill, deficient, and sick young individuals that don't have it's like the movie, with young Frankenstein. He has an abnormal brain. These people have abnormal brains. They're not normal. Yet we will not move to actually do it. And one of the things that we talk about this, and this is really one of the things that I find clarifying, why did we close so many mental institutions about 25 years ago? Why? Why didn't we have a threshold, a very low threshold, not about guns, but about gun-carrying people? It's not guns that kill people. If a gun is in its case, it can't kill anyone.
Right.
It's people that kill people. In fact, it's been known, and this is a fact that I think you pulled up a few weeks ago, more people to kill with hammers and machetes than with assault rifles. I mean, this is a fact. And then 98% of the killings occur in gun-free zones. Even if we had a knockdown weapon, let's say we had a sprayer on the ceiling at a Walmart. And as soon as they saw on the camera somebody sitting in a secure room, they could just press a button and spray them and knock a person within, say, 10 cubic feet, knock them to the ground. Then have the security personnel zip tie the person and pull them away. I wouldn't care what weapon they're carrying. Send them off to an institution to be evaluated. Strip their home of video games and weapons. And make sure they're monitored.
I've said this many times, and I'll say it again. Liberal policies, Democrat policies, and for that matter, even some rhino establishment Republicans, they have blood on their hands, okay? Because they're the ones that are refusing to do something about this. And it's a very easy fix. Number one, you permanently ban all gun-free zones. Number two, you remove all gun laws off the books. Number three, you allow concealed carry permits to be given to all Americans and allow them to travel over state lines with them. Then what happens is America becomes a safer, more secure society. Why? Because so many people are armed. You don't know who's armed. So guess what? There is no more gun-free zones. No one's going to go into a school or a mall or anywhere else because Americans are going to be armed. Okay? And people that have a concealed carry permit, they're the most non-violent people on the planet because they've been trained, number one, and number two, they know that they're not looking to cause any harm, but they're only looking to take out a bad guy that wants to cause harm. You see, the left can't wrap it around in their tiny little, minuscule skulls that if you allow more guns, society will be safer. And, you know, all they see is the violence, and they see the gun, and they go, oh, my God, it's the gun. We've got to get guns away from people, really. Well, then the are going to have more guns. The good guys are going to not have guns, and there's going to be more people getting killed. So, again, this is an easy problem to fix. Obviously, even in the schools, it's even easier. You hire teachers, and you incentivize them to carry a concealed gun on them, a concealed firearm.
Right.
You make them sign an affidavit swearing that they will not tell anyone which teacher has the gun.
Right.
And then, you know, you put a substation for the police department inside the school. You have patrolling plainclothes officers, and you're done. No one's going to come into that
problem solved. It's actually a real simple solution, and it also needs a very low threshold. If other students,
we could have solved this 50 to 75 years ago.
You could have a box in the school, for example, or any public place like a workplace. And if someone has a concern about a coworker or another student, drop a message in the box, and the box is opened at the end of the day. Oh, they're concerned about such and such. He made these such and such comments, and he's on the internet. Guess what? Follow it up. Follow it up. And if then they go and give it to the local police, or the police go and say, we're going to contact the NSA and the FBI, they open up the database and say, oh my gosh, look at what he's saying on social media. Duh. This is not hard to solve. This doesn't take a lot of money. This takes a little bit of elbow grease on the part of citizens to be aware of what's going on around them and simply notify the authorities that there's something that they don't think is right. It doesn't mean you're going to prosecute somebody right away.
When I walk into
but you're going to look into
and I see somebody that has a gun on them or on their side or on their belt or whatever, I feel so safe immediately because I know that person's not a crazy maniac. You know, I know that they're going to, you know, be a responsible person. And if, God forbid, someone comes in with, you know, a gun and tries to shoot up a place, someone like that is going to take action. I mean, I go out and I have a concealed weapon all the time, obviously because I'm a public figure and you never know what can happen. So I'm always armed to the teeth, okay? I've got one on my leg. I've got one on my chest, all over the place. So anyone thinking that they want to come at Bernstein, you think again. But again, you know, that's me. But if we have more people that do that, then no one's going to know who's armed. No one's going to know, you know, where there's going to be a firearm, you know, resistance or where there's not going to be. And that's the thing. When society doesn't know or it has ambiguous, whatever you want to call it, where they're not sure, then obviously what's going to happen? They're going to change their behavior, and they're not going to continue to do these types of shootouts.
Right. A combination, remove the video games, allow notification system, have cops and extra military personnel in the schools and public stadia, have non-lethal knockdown technology in major stadia or Walmarts and so on. Even have a little AI to kind of a drone with a little sprayer on it. I mean, if you could have a camera and the little drone would fly over and spray them and just knock them down. It wouldn't hurt them. They'd just knock them to the ground and they wouldn't be able to do things, even if they became unable to see. They couldn't shoot out a gun because they couldn't aim. I mean, it's that simple. But you see, people want to say, well, we got to take the guns away from good citizens. No. I'm going to tell you, if the left tries to take away all the guns from the good citizens of America, 93 million armed Americans, they'll have a bloody civil war.
No
so
question
all these idiots that want to take it away. For example, I do broadcasting. I did a 2-hour yesterday with Shai Danan in Israel. And I'm a target. So are you. And I've had death threats over the years, over and over and over again, ad nauseum. And I threaten them back. I say, you know, if you're stupid enough to come to Vista, California looking to get Deagle, I'm going to put you in the ground. If you're going to try to harm me or kill me or shoot me or chop me up or whatever, I'm going to arrange an appointment for you to meet Yeshua, Jesus, Allah, Satan, whatever. It's not going to be pleasant what'll happen. Don't. Please don't. I beg you, don't.
Are you still looking for that one iodine that you can really trust? A medical doctor-endorsed product that is backed by honest research and true integrative science? Then search no further. Go to NutriMedical.com for Dr. Bill Deagle's Nutriodine, proven time and time again to be the very best iodine available for you. Nutriodine is the only Tesla-activated monatomic plasma iodine in the world. It optimizes mitochondrial function and generation of new mitochondria, from totally neutralizing the venom from a desert recluse spider bite in Southern California to eliminating malaria parasites reported by medical missionaries in Central India. Dr. Bill's Nutriodine is simply the most powerful healing formula there is. Nutriodine clears the body of all known pathogens, restores it to an alkaline state, and even promotes stem cell regeneration. Order Dr. Bill's Nutriodine today at 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com.
Red Deer Velvet DR is an amazing new product with a patent to preserve 300 biomolecules and 6 hormones, same as fetal life, where you don't age at all. The state of fetal life allows the 300 biomolecules and 6 hormones produced by the placenta to be supportive of the regeneration of tissues and organs, with maximum apoptosis, changing the tissue and organ structure of a fetus. That's why if fetal surgery is performed, there is no scar. Taking 2 to 3 capsules twice a day with oncomycin, myco-D2, provides an amazing support for regeneration of any tissue and organ in the body, and even advanced stem cell therapy support treatment. Do get NutriMedical's Red Deer Velvet DR from Dr. Bill Deagle at NutriMedical.com, NutriMedical.com, 888-212-8871. Stay well and stay young with NutriMedical. Hi, I'm Dr. Bill Deagle, MD, AAEM, ACAM, A4M, of NutriMedical.com, and a consultant providing email advice free on advanced protocols for your optimized wellness and advanced technologies to heal and regenerate you. You can contact us at NutriMedical.com, that's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. You get free email starter protocols of our top medical-grade nutraceuticals, initial testing, and recommendations for your own primary doctor to do, as well as recommendations to give you an idea of a consultation and a full protocol to try to help you regenerate your tissues, heal naturally without the use of toxic polypharmacy. I can send test kits to you as well anywhere in the world and provide you recommendations to referral of specialty clinics worldwide. So contact me, Dr. Bill Deagle, at NutriMedical.com. That's NutriMedical.com, or 888-212-8871. At NutriMedical.com, we have the most amazing drinks with the best mouthfeel, highest quality bionutrient exposure to your body to heal and regenerate, and the most powerful persistence of nutrients to heal your body dramatically. We have Ageless, which makes you age less, which repairs your DNA, extends your telomeres, etc. We have Life Support that detoxes phase 2 detox pathways, glucuronidation, sulfation, and methylation pathway support. We have Glycemics that blocks the carbohydrate absorption and helps with diabetes or weight loss, and as well helps with people that are trying to build up muscle, using things like our special formulas from Dr. Wolf called Mega Muscles between meals along with Sports Energy Light. We have the amazing NutriComplete, the most complete red and greens drink in the world, with the best mouthfeel and flavor. You can often mix it too with Vitamin Mineral Mix, which is our fruit-flavored mixed power of vitamin minerals. Stay well with NutriMedical every day. And welcome back. So, Josh, the solutions, it's interesting. We need to get this information through to President Trump. It sounds like he's not being very Trumpian this morning. He's almost being pushed to the point where he wants to look like, almost like he's another candidate for the Democratic Party. Let's look at real simple solutions here. When they talk about increased background checks, look, the background checks are not picking up people that every relative, friend, and school or cohort that works with somebody, like I'm sure these 2 mass killers, there were dozens of red flags over these people. We need a red flag system. Then we need mental health expanded. We need to make sure that we weaponize our schools with these lethal, non-lethal weapons. Maybe a non-lethal automated weapon system. So if you start to look like you're going to do something violent, including not just with a gun, a lot of people don't realize they're killed by machetes, knives, and even hammers. If it looks like you're going to do something violent, you need to be neutralized, and maybe not kill you, but neutralize you so we can get you off to a mental institution and see why you're so crazy. Why would you do this to your fellow human beings? Oftentimes even relatives, right?
Yeah, obviously. And look, I think more than anything else, what we have to realize here is that everything that we're seeing right now is a result of, I would say, unabated liberalism, desensitization to violence in video games, of course.
Exactly.
All the sick, deviant behavior that is now seen as acceptable by the left as far as, drag queen story hour and pedophilia, and it's all over the, Jeffrey Epstein's all over the place, and the trial and everything else. All of these sick, demented things. And let's not forget this push for, gender neutrality and, getting rid of pronouns and, not calling people he and she. All of this sick,
weird, isn't it?
behavior is leading to people to have more estrogen from the food supply, right? There's not as much testosterone out there anymore. And what's happening is it's turning these people into these latte-sipping soy boys that cannot defend themselves. They cry in little closets. They eat ice cream and get, puppies and are taken care of when anything goes wrong if they break a hangnail. And they're a bunch of wimps. It's the wimp generation. And what's happening is the schools are enforcing that type of behavior, right, by saying that every child's a winner and no one's a loser and everyone's getting a participation trophy. Look, I think it really has to do with how these kids are growing up in society without any responsibility, without anyone telling them no, without anyone telling them that they're not special and they need to work for things. So what's happening is a perfect example of this kid in El Paso. He put on LinkedIn, I really don't like to do anything, but I guess if I have to do something, maybe I'll do this. Who the hell puts that on their profile if they're looking to get a job and to be hired? It's this mentality of I'm entitled, right? It's the entitlement mentality of this generation that is leading people to make these horrific decisions. Couple that now with AOC Thumbelina saying that the end of the world's going to happen in 12 years, and they're all freaked out. They're all frantic. They don't know what to do. So what do? They act out, and they use the video games and the violence that they see on television and video games. They act it out in reality. That's right. The major problem.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on the money there. The problem is it's so logical, straightforward. What I notice, though, that's universal both on the left and the right, and that includes, by the way, even Trump right now, is they're, in a sense, either passive or active chaos masters. Right now, Trump is a passive one. He talks about part of the solution, but he doesn't move forward on it. For example, you don't want to be aggravating people's brains with 5G network. And you don't want to push genetically modified food that makes your brain inflamed in your blood-brain barrier, which he's pushing. And you do want to get rid of video games, which you could actually make an executive order and just get rid of all these, or violent movies. And you do want to increase the surveillance system by allowing every school and every public place and every church to have a system of either lethal or non-lethal weapons to neutralize somebody who could be a killer. This would make this nation very safe. In fact, it would be so safe, everybody would be envious. I would call it the Swissization of America, because in Switzerland, every male, I think up to 65, has to spend 2 weekends a month and 2 weeks a year in military training. And they have to have mortar. They have to have all kinds of weapons and many bullets and very advanced guns. And you know what? Their violence level is minuscule.
We need to do what Israel does.
Right.
We need to put everybody in the military, mandatory, after high school. But instead of doing the military, I would do like what the Mormons do, where they have to send their children on a mission and they have to go find good in the world, and they go to another country or even another state for that matter, and they have to volunteer and help people and things like that. We ought to have 5 socialist communist countries, and we ought to work with their governments and let their governments know that you are to keep these students safe and protect them. And then we should send these kids after they graduate high school, before they get into college, and we can even count it, this 3-month journey, as a full college semester to entice them to want, it'll be mandatory. And they need to go live in a third world country, a Cuba, a Venezuela, a North Korea, a China, whatever, Russia, and they should go and see what it's like to live without freedom and liberty and prosperity for 3 months. And then they come back here. You know what that would do? Number one, it would make people appreciate America more. They should have to do a dissertation on their travels, what they learned about themselves, what they learned about the country that they were in, and what they feel now coming back to America. And I'm telling you right now, that would be a preservation for freedom, liberty, and prosperity for generations to come, because these kids would finally wake up and realize that socialism and communism is the worst thing that could possibly happen in America. It'll never happen by war. It'll only happen by vote if, God forbid, we allow it.
Yeah, exactly. We've created a culture of wimpiness, of tolerance of bad behavior, like in mentally ill young men and women, video games and movies that are obscene, and bad behavior that in the workplace or in school shouldn't be tolerated. I'm sure these kids have got a long history of bad behavior that should have been a warning to go off to a mental institution and be evaluated. I'm sure that there was lots of warning lights, but the Democrats want to ignore them. The Republicans think, well, we're just going to keep our guns. No, you have to take out people that are going to cause trouble, even if it's with a stick. I mean, you have to understand that you can harm somebody with a 2x4 just as easily as you can with a hammer or a gun.
Right.
And mentally ill people need to be picked up and taken care of. They're ill. Just like our drug addicts. We don't give drug addicts new needles around Los Angeles. You pick them up and you bring them to a treatment institution. They don't have the right to be a drug addict and give them fresh needles. It's an insane culture we have now, and the Democrats reside over their side of the leg of the beast. And Trump hasn't done enough. If Trump was Trump right now, even with his executive order without the House, he could take care of a lot of this stuff. He could pass executive orders that every school in the country can have basically an ex-military or policeman or whatever, or firefighter that knows how to deal with these things, hired in the school. He could have non-lethal weapon systems set up. He could have training for the teachers. He could do all kinds of stuff, and he'd have the population would soon have a degree of safety. He could have a little box. If a fellow student's saying something weird to you, or on the internet or on social media, we should have a warning system, a red light system that could pick up and all of a sudden get somebody evaluated. And that would be for their good as well, because one young man is dead. The other guy is probably going to get the death penalty. But the problem is there's people out there incubating out there for every one of these guys that goes off the edge.
Yeah, they tried people for a parking ticket in Texas. They don't mess around.
Right. The problem is that there's millions.
Look, if President, when
ahead.
they come back from their break, it's going to be a full court press for some type of control legislation. And let me tell you right now, and this is a warning to President Trump, if he signs legislation that is anything curbing the Second Amendment, he just blew his 2020 re-election campaign right out the water. And it'll get so bad for Americans and American citizens if, God forbid, one of these Satanist leftists was to win and turn this country into Venezuela. So he better understand, and I'll be fighting against any legislation that's coming down the pike against the Second Amendment, because I'm a huge supporter of gun rights for everybody. And just because these people go out and do this doesn't mean that every single other person should have to suffer from their actions by having our Second Amendment stripped from us. So I'm telling you right now, you're right. It's going to get ugly, and it's going to get ugly quick if they try to pass any type of legislation curbing the Second Amendment. Now, I'm not saying that there's going to be an all-out civil war of violence. Hopefully that won't be the case. But if President Trump goes along with this because of the emotional aspect of everything, he's going to lose in 2020. And right now, it looks like he's almost a sure bet to win. So if he really wants to destroy his chances in the country, pass gun control legislation and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that it's not just gun control, it's what I call people control. You know, the average person should be able to have any gun. If I want to have an anti-aircraft gun or a large caliber gun or one with more shells, it's my purposes if I'm not crazy. If I have them properly locked up and no kids can get in there and harm themselves, and I have safeties on it and I've taken a proper course, which I have, with Ironside over in Pendleton Marine Corps Base. I should be able to have that. In fact, I've thought seriously about picking up, because of the recent death threats, a concealed carry permit. So if somebody decides they're going to I'm going to find out where Deagle is and I'm going to get him. I don't want that to happen, but let me tell you, you don't want it to happen, people. And I think our communities can become so safe because crazies will go into the crazy bin. People will notify them early. People that have guns can actually take a shooter like this out. Like, he shouldn't have had more than one person shot before somebody took him out, either with a pepper spray or with a gun. The man should not have been able to walk up and down aisles, and when people were trapped, shoot them. This is ridiculous that we allow this stuff to happen in a country. And if you think it's going to be safe because you can call the police, which will be there in 20 minutes, or you've got a big giant military, no. You need the personal protection of the people, right?
Well, look, the Second Amendment is your right to carry a firearm, okay? I don't believe in gun laws at all. Thankfully, where I'm at, they're obviously very lax. For anyone in California or anyone around the country, I would advise anyone to just get a handgun, get a gun, and conceal it. Because what's the big deal? So what? At least you had a firearm in a life or death situation. So for me, I tell people all the time, don't abide by the gun laws. Do what you want to do. It's your right as a Second Amendment, to have and have a gun and to conceal it. So that's what I say, and I'm sure Right Wing Watch is going to put out an article that says Josh Bernstein says for all Americans to ignore gun laws. Well, they might, and go ahead, sign on to it. I said it, so that's fine. Bottom line is we've got to protect ourselves from people, and we need to have more guns in society. I can't stress that enough. The more guns in society, the safer we are. So if someone's in California where they have strict gun laws, or New York or New Jersey or elsewhere, get a gun and conceal it. That's it.
Absolutely. And I think that if you have, like, I can probably get a concealed carry permit. The problem is people need to be ready to protect themselves. I also want non-lethal. I want, for example, things like, pepper spray. And also, we need to be expanding the idea of non-lethal weapons. If I could have a little weapon, like something like, say, size of a woman's compact or whatever, she could press a button and point it at somebody and knock them to the ground. We don't necessarily pepper spray. We're just going to incapacitate them for a couple minutes. It wouldn't kill them or stop them from breathing. That would be a good idea.
Every single gun law ever passed in the history of the United States is unconstitutional. We have a Second Amendment for a reason. And the Second Amendment is your right to keep and bear arms. Everything else is garbage, as far as I'm concerned. And I hope and pray that more Americans feel the same way that I do.
I do.
And we have more people go out and buy more and more guns. We need more guns in society, not less guns.
Right. Absolutely. More guns, but smarter people, a better alert system to alert people who are mentally ill or violent or crazy or strange. We need to have a system where we can actually neutralize people.
We need liberal control.
A liberal control law, exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Amazing program today. Simple solutions, as I say. The masters of chaos, both on the left and the right, are not doing their job. Trump's not doing all his job he could do. And the left are crazy, want to take away our guns and even body armor. How crazy.
Which is most important.